Welcome into Shaping Reality for November 2025. I'm joined tonight by the fabulous Penny Kelly. Penny, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Although, hang on a second. It says that my stream was deleted on YouTube. Try creating a new stream. So, hang on.
We got technical difficulties here, folks. Hang on with us. We're just taking care of it.
We'll see what happens. Okay. All right, never mind. We can't fix that. We're just going to have to go with what we got.
And yeah, we can fix that when we're done. So Penny,
that's right.
Gosh, I know this week has been really busy for you. I've been sort of keeping an eye on what's going on, and the way that I look at it is things are really shifting. And you just said something. You just used the words turning point before we came on.
Yeah.
So is that where you'd like to start tonight?
I think so, but let me ask you, what are you seeing? What do you notice? Because I've been too busy to pay attention to anything. Is there anything specific that caught your attention or that was kind of like working in the back of your mind?
I always hesitate to answer that, particularly with you. And the reason is that I understand that your perception is different than mine. It's a lot broader than mine.
Yeah. Well,
but from the more regular human standpoint,
okay,
it looks like that the snowball is growing of dissatisfaction, of recognition of the injustices in the system, of people all of a sudden looking around and saying, this isn't right. And what's interesting to me, and we touched on it in a little email during the week, is that I think the population around the planet perception is broadening to where things that we didn't identify as being not working in our favor are really obvious now. In other words, we see it in a different light. And I certainly, that's the case for me, but I think it's the case for a lot of people. And it's interesting because people are perceiving so much more than they were even 6 months ago. And I'm wondering, is this the kind of thing where 6 months from now, everybody's going to start seeing ships in the sky that have been there the whole time?
Yeah.
But now we're seeing them. So that's the kind of shift I'm seeing. And you use the words turning point, which, Turning Point USA, that's not intentional.
No connection.
No connection. So why don't you share what you've seen, in your perception, or however you go out there and look around?
Well, I think there's a couple things that I would share. I think hang on one second here, stuff keeps popping in. One of the things that I do regularly is when I don't have time to watch or to read anything or to follow, I don't follow anybody, period, to begin with. So what I do online or, anything having to do with news is very eclectic, and I'm all over the place. Somebody asked me once for a list of news places that I visit, and it was too long. It was obscenely long. And I thought, okay, but I haven't had time to do that this week. So I tune in and just get a feel. And the feeling is that Europe is either on the edge of revolt or they're all going to go insane. That was literally the picture that I had, that they're going crazy with the situation. And they're at a point where they have to decide, are we going to go along with the EU and all of the EU's recommendations and rules and all that, or not? And they're at that turning point. And England, I have, for some reason, I always pay attention to England, and that it feels like the pot is ready to boil over. in England maybe is boiling over. And so there's those two. And then I haven't seen, of course, I haven't really gone out to look either, any lights in the sky sort of thing. But I have had this feeling that they're all in Europe. I'll say it that way, that there's stuff happening in Europe in the skies that, because that's where the kind of like the pot is ready to boil over, not just England, but in all of Europe. So there's that feeling. And then when I go down to like scan South America, that's a lot quieter. But in a few places, it's really a lot uglier, and it's a lot more dangerous than people think. And then China, I don't know what's happening in China, but if I had to say it in a word, it feels like they are in the process of collapsing. And I have seen in the past people say, oh no, China is doing great, but that's not the feeling or the pictures that I get when I tune into China. And then there's the US, of course. Absolute insanity. Nothing is making any sense to anybody at any level. And that's going to burst in the next couple of months. It's bursting now. And so I'm looking at that going, oh, wow. We are really at the turning point where a lot of stuff that hasn't made any sense is going to blow up or get washed away or get arrested away or something. And people that are, the common people that are watching all that are going to go, oh, thank God. And common sense, common courtesies and things like that will return. And so I'm really at this place of kind of like watching with a wow in the back of my head. It's a big wow in so many places. And I do think that more people are waking up. And the more that wake up, the more that pressure builds in the pressure cooker. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I think the people are where the brains and the common sense and the feeling and the future is at. It isn't in the institutions or the infrastructures that we have built over the last 200 years. And we're just coming to our, 250th anniversary? And here we are about to blow up. It's like, okay, well, we'll make it to 250, but I don't see it being much of a, it's going to be a very different structure, put it that way, after the next year is done. Lots of stuff changing, lots of good stuff changing. And I think it's all that good stuff I see coming from what I call the little people, not the big people. So it isn't the big leaders. And there's a whole, I had this vision, it was a couple of weeks ago, and it was that I called it the Rothschild net. There was a net of Rothschild energy that had made its way around the entire planet, and like a fishing net. And remember me saying that I was creating a net out of this golden thread, and I was crocheting this net to hold the planet. And I got it done finally after about 3-4 years, and lit it up so that it started to glow. This was, I think, like 6 months ago or so. And what I hadn't realized was that there was another net in place. And so that other net I called the Rothschild net. And I had just this perception, this persistent perception that net was becoming full of holes, and the threads were rotting or disintegrating or somehow dissolving. It's like, oh, wow. So those, there's a sense of big change, wonderful change on its way. but it's still change, and people will have to adjust, and we're going to have to get creative. We can't just, I'll sit back and watch TV and say, "Oh, he'll take care of it," or she will handle it, or whatever. It's really going to take all of us. So,
Yeah, I think those days are over. But those were socially engineered. That behavior was socially engineered.
I think it was.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's really, it's not sustainable, I guess is what I would say. We had so many things and we still do, that aren't sustainable. Whether you're talking about the energy system, the electrical system of our planet, the food system, the way that we grow food, the national system, when we see that, oh man, if it can be corrupted that badly, if that system is that prone to corruption, we don't want that kind of system anymore. So what's after that? What do we have after that? And I think the young people are the ones that are going to set that up, that next structure.
You know, you brought up so many things that I want to touch on that very last point, that the young people, and what we've seen, us older adults,
right,
is that the younger generation is coming into life differently than we did.
Oh, I love it. I know. They're so different.
And I'll give an example. When I was younger and I was 15 and a half, I got my driver's license the minute I could get it. The minute.
Uh-huh.
The young kids now, they don't work that way. I got a job the minute I could get it. The younger kids, like, not so much.
Yep.
And I think the perception is it's really easy to say they're lazy or they're not motivated, or I think it's more that they don't want to play in the system that we've got.
That's right.
That it doesn't fit for them energetically. They literally can't do it.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I have a memory of, this is probably, I'm going to say, a good 15 years ago. Okay. And a couple of my grandkids who were in their teens were having a bonfire in the backyard, and they invited a bunch of friends, and they're all sitting around the campfire. These are like 11th graders or thereabouts, and 12th graders. And they got to the farm by going out with, one of them had a car, maybe two of them. And they said, well, I'll pick up this one, and that one. You pick up that and that and that. And so everybody arrived, and then they sat around talking. And I was just across the driveway from the bonfire, and I was listening to them discuss politics. I was blown away at the depth of their seeing, their understanding, the principles. I don't think they knew what they were saying, but they were talking about a wholly principled way of doing things that I never heard from any of the leaders that we have, or that I had grown up with, and we still don't have. And there were observations, there were statements that were, I'm going to say they were hybrid statements. Some of them had a little bit of a 1 foot, the statements they were making in the job world, in the financial world, and observations about that. But then they would, I think we should do it like this. I'm not going to do that. I want this and that. They were all about sharing. They were all about caring. They were all about taking care of one another. And there wasn't any of the competitiveness that I thought was, standard in high school. And they weren't, do you know what I mean when I say they weren't cliquey? They weren't in a clique in which they were, the smartest, prettiest, best ones in the class, and everybody else was kind of a nobody. That's how it was when I went to school. In both of the schools, I ran out of classes at the school that I was going to. And so I went to another school in my senior year in order to be able to take some more classes. But there were cliques, big cliques in both schools. And, you know, you didn't talk to some kids because they were better than you were, or. So that they didn't have even a touch of that. And I was so surprised. I was just, like I said, blown away. And now they're all in their 30s, all those kids, and they are trying to work and live outside the system, and they're struggling.
Yeah.
But they don't care. They're not interested in being in the system.
Which, you know, it's easy for us, at particularly my age, my generation, to look at that and say, these kids are not motivated, they're lazy, they think everything gets handed to them. And I think it's very different from that. It's that they don't want to play in a system that sucks them dry.
Yeah.
They're not interested. They're doing it differently. And I can see, you know, I have a daughter in her mid-30s, couldn't care less about money.
Right.
And really, and we'll say things like, what can I bring to, you know, how can I help? What can I do? How can I participate? How can I make a difference? And it has nothing to do with the things that we were raised with.
That's right.
Which I look back now and think that was such an engineered drive.
Yeah, I don't know how we were all driven into the same tunnel, I guess I'll call it. And so there was no way out. You had to move along the tunnel or get trampled. And that really isn't the way that they are operating at all. So I think that, you know, they're going to challenge. They are challenging. I don't think they have enough experience to really winnow out the chaff from the wheat, so to speak. But they'll get that. They'll get that. They'll try something and they will say that doesn't work and abandon it. We haven't done that. And I don't think we haven't been invited to join. We haven't been invited to contribute our voice except for our vote. One vote, that's all you get. And then get out of the way. You know, the politicians are going to do whatever they want, and they have.
And they have.
Yeah.
Let's back up right now and really focus on the word turning point.
Okay.
And you said politically, economically, socially. And what I am seeing, and this is just one person's perception, is that the systems that I grew up with are falling apart. And they're falling apart from non-compliance from the population.
I know.
People are saying, I don't believe you. I'm not going to do that anymore. That's a bunch of BS. You're lying. You know, just calling out all the things that we lived with for decades.
Right.
And as that system, to me, looks like it's crumbling. And when I'm talking about the system, I'm talking about mostly government systems right now.
Okay.
But what I see as well, so this system that I grew up with is crumbling. But what I see is a parallel system, which you've been talking about for years, rising up. A food system, a community system, an education system, working with each other. It's coming up, and I'm wondering, is this going to crumble before this one is up all the way? It's almost like they're just trading places. And the thing that I want to make note of on the crumbling government systems is there is so much going on in the background from people who are quietly building alternative ways of living, more healthful, more human-centered, that I feel like as the systems crumble are going to be becoming more noteworthy and a little bit louder and a little bit bigger. So how do you see, and I realize that you have said we've got to make sure that we're not moving too fast so that we can build the parallel systems before the old one crumbles.
Yeah, right. I think there's a very fine sense of timing that we have to have in terms of like watching the new system come up. One of the things, and you've probably heard me say it here on this program, is that we really need to build that new world, a new world. And one of the ways to do it, or one of the ways to send a message to those who are running the old world, is everybody stops, just stops. Sit down, stay in your house, don't go to work, don't spend any money, don't get online, don't do anything, go do something, paint the living room or rake the yard or plant some new flowers or clean the garage or something. I mean, it's not a romantic moment. It's a, what can I do so that so that I can distract myself from what I know I'm doing by not participating. One of the things when I was first struggling with Kundalini, one of the hardest lessons for me to learn was the lesson of not doing. Doing was something that was very proactive. Not doing was very observational.
Yeah.
You watched it and you watched it and you're like, oh my. And you watched it and then you watched it. It was like, oh my gosh. And I think what I see in terms of that new world coming up is that let's just take the medical world, for instance. People are not participating. They are realizing they're getting ripped off by the medical system, and it's absolutely ridiculous charges for anything. It doesn't matter what you need in terms of the medical system. The price it's beyond the sky. It's out there somewhere in Andromeda. It's out of reach. And so people are saying, well, how do I fix this? How do I fix me? And they're learning to do that. And so they're not participating. Or even just like myself, I don't have any insurance. I don't want any insurance. It's not something that I feel, insurance doesn't guarantee anything except that you're going to be broke. That's all it's going to do. And if you get, if you're going to live in such a way that you don't want to take responsibility, maybe you want some insurance. But if you want to take responsibility for yourself, what do you need insurance for? You are the insurance. And so I see that very slowly, and most of it driven by I can't afford it kinds of thinking. They're not getting insurance because they can't afford it. And they can't afford the $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 deductible. So it's like, what's the point? I don't even go to the doctor, and spend more than $400, $600 in a year. Why should I pay that to an insurance company every month and then have them tell me, well, you got a $7,000 deductible?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. The same thing. So there's non-participation there. Education. People are just not sending their kids to school, and alternative schools are popping up everywhere. So they're not doing what we used to do without a second thought.
Yeah.
And then the whole food thing, like you said, the food system I'm part of a food system here in this area, and it's a whole different ballgame. You grow your own food, and you buy what you don't grow from the people around you that are part of this little kind of a hidden network of growers, all organic, all really focused on high nutrition. That's, I haven't been to the grocery store for a while. I'm going to say a month maybe. And my cupboard's getting bare, but I have plenty of food. It's just the store-bought stuff that I don't have a whole lot of, but I have freezers full of food. I have cupboards and pantries with stuff in it. It's when I go shopping, I go downstairs to the freezer and bring up a whole armful. Fruits, vegetables, meat, bread, all kinds of stuff, even frozen milk. So all of that not doing is resulting in taking shape of that other world.
I keep seeing this vision in my mind that the end of the old system is almost going to go out with a whimper.
Same thing.
And what I see is that the puppet masters, that nobody's playing anymore. They're just like over there, and nobody's listening. It's like,
right.
Well, when did it change? Well, we don't really know. We just stopped. We just started doing different stuff. So it's almost as though they're still playing this awful soap opera.
I've seen that.
Everybody's clicked off.
I know. The very first time I saw that was actually in a vision, and I felt sorry for those puppet masters. They were doing their darndest, and nobody was responding. Nobody. And the whole thing just shrunk and just and that was it. It was over. So we're headed in that direction. There's a few things that I think are really spectacular that are coming up. Some of the new discoveries in science, some of the new kind of new artwork that's popping up courtesy of AI. All kinds of what I'm going to call community building happening that's outside, or I'm going to say beyond the local physical communities. And I think that we're, as a population, the people of Earth, are going to belong to two or three. Each person belong to two or three communities. The local one, that's people they live in and drive around and see maybe every day, or their neighbors. And then their online communities, and that may keep them in touch with those who are of like mind, because not everybody can sell their house and go find, where's my like-minded people, that kind of thing. And then there are crafts people. So I think this is one of the things I've seen quite a few times. And this actually started with robes, was that the political system, the governance, that's the word, the governance system is a network. The food system is a network. The education system is a network. And I've said in the past, everything is done on the internet. And so the guys who started the internet with the idea that they would have an opportunity to spy on everybody actually planted the seeds of their own destruction, because they are the ones who get wiped out in the evolution of the networks and the communities that form in those networks. And people end up being like-minded from network to network, maybe not in how they live and what they believe, but the thing they want in terms of governance, they're pretty like-minded. And so it's like, okay, we're coming into a new way of doing a lot of things.
You know what I heard of just the other day, and for those listening, I'm going to guess that at least a few of you have heard about this and understand it better than I do. But it was a communication system, and I believe it's called Tron. And Tron has little towers, but it's like a short wave, like a ham radio or a short wave phone. And you put up these little towers, and when you have all these towers, what happens is if your phone connects to all the phones in between in order to get to the phone that you want to reach, it does it in a millisecond.
Yeah.
But it's a decentralized phone service.
Right.
Which I think is like,
wow.
that's exactly what we need.
Mhm. Yeah.
It is like Bitcoin for phone, or, distributed ledger for phones,
Yeah. Right.
where there's all these little towers. And I thought, well, if we're not going to work on our telepathy, that could be the thing that we do between
That's
self and
true.
sympathy.
Everything that we've engineered is an expression in mechanical terms of our own capabilities. So we're headed to a place where there's a lot of that kind of thing. People, I think, are going to have wearables that allow communication, instant communication here and there. Nothing inside of them, but something they can put on and take off. That's
But would it be a different frequency about what we've got going on now, which is not really in our favor?
No, the whole system of energy and electrical transmission at 60 cycles per minute, that frequency set interferes with cellular meiosis and mitosis. And I'm like, okay, we could have gone up or down, and had a whole different, we call them a window of frequency that would have been compatible with the human system, and we didn't. It was like, oh, we found something that works. Let's do it. And what are the side effects? Oh, well, it interferes with cellular operation of the whole body, but so what? We can talk from here to California.
Okay, but my knee-jerk reaction to that, Penny, is that that frequency was chosen on purpose.
It may have been. It may have been all that they were capable of. It's what I've seen when I go back. The people that were so excited, they really, we've come so far in our understanding of the nature of reality, frequencies, communication. But it may have been, it was chosen deliberately because it was different from the communication system that was in existence before the one we have now. And that was one of those, it might have been, we just need to get beyond what they have. Like when somebody says, I'm going to have I'm trying to think of a good example. Like you want to have a secret communication system or a secret economic way of doing, moving money around. You go outside the system that exists and you build something else. So that's what it looks like they had done, which, a lot of people don't know that there were massive global communication systems way back, way back, like 15,000 years ago. And yeah, there've been 2 or 3 different kinds of electromagnetic systems, I guess would be the way to call it. And each one, as the civilization changed, or the people fall apart, or the earth goes through one of her global, solar things, and there's a flood or some sort of bobbling around and causes all kinds of havoc and all kinds of destruction. And then, the people who are comfortable just using it, they don't know how it was built. Once it's destroyed, they're like, oh crap, how do we do this? So they start over, and they don't always choose. They're not thinking in terms of how do we engineer communication that every time we pick up that phone, it enhances brain health, brain function, psychic ability, critical thinking, intuition. We don't think like that. We do elsewhere in the universe, but not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see this in the future.
Yeah.
The collective in the future being so wise as a result of what has happened in the last,
Right.
several hundred years. And I keep seeing people saying, oh, we've learned that doesn't work, or we've tried that.
Yes.
In other words, this whole journey that we're bumping through right now, those of us who are in physical on the planet, we are creating really valuable lessons.
Yeah.
As we grow and change and develop.
I know. Oh, yeah, it is a wonderful, beautiful thing to see. We just need to survive long enough to be able to implement what we learn. So that's always a challenge here on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And when you have perception that is constantly like narrowed down instead of opening up, then there's a lot of people who have no idea how anything works. Nothing. Not the plant world, not the industrial world, not the financial world, not the governance world, not the medical world. They don't know how anything works. That's so dangerous. And here we are. We're at a danger point, a turning point. And so perception needs to open. And I think people are afraid. I think they're afraid to love. I think they're afraid. One of the things that happens when perception opens is that you begin to love. And it starts little, small, tiny, but it just keeps on growing. And I think people are afraid of that. The perception is one of, I need to hide myself. And some of that is a result of the way that we have birthed our babies and raised them. It's unfortunate. But you know, when you give birth to a baby and then you don't start literally massage that infant from head to toe for the next 72 hours, the nervous system never wakes up all the way. And you start right out with arrested development. When indigenous peoples would massage their infants, you know, that babies are born with this white creamy stuff. It's called vernix all over them. The indigenous mothers would immediately start massaging that infant, scalp, ears, eyes, cheeks, you know, everything, right down to putting their hand on that little butt and, you know, going in a circle and rubbing around the mouth, because those are the two ends of the gastrointestinal tract, which brings that thing alive. And so you end up, you know, with the whole nervous system. What the difference between their babies and our babies was that their babies could sit up, hold their head up at 3 days and make eye contact, full eye contact, and smile when they're communicated with. And they were walking by 5-6 months and running and playing, and they were fully functional and contributing to the family at the age of 3. We don't do that. I don't know where we got our ideas from, but they're not conducive to development of full human potential. And so we never get there. Most people never get there. And you know, also when babies are born in cesarean style, they don't ever come down that birth canal, which when coming down the birth canal, you swallow, the infant swallows, gets all these bacteria pushed up the nose and swallowed in the mouth. And that bacteria then is designed to work with the colostrum from the mother's milk. And when the mother is nursing, that bacteria and that colostrum come together and they create the most fabulous array of microbiome bacteria that the child could ever want. And there's almost perfect immunity. And those children don't get sick. There's very little, infant mortality in those early indigenous groups. And we have terrible, not only terrible mortality, but terrible birth defects and oh my gosh. And then we ruin our kids by giving them a whole bunch of shots with a whole bunch of heavy metals in the shots. And, you know, it's a wonder we have any brains left at all or any means of development. And so here we are now trying to, okay, what do we do about this? Creativity is in the pit. You know, been feeding people fluoride for what? Since World War II, World War I, something like that. All the things we have done have taken us down. And I think it's going to be a wonderful journey of discovery of what we can become as we reverse a lot of that ignorance and start some of those practices and observe the OMG, look what that child is capable of. So it's coming. I think it's coming. It's time.
Yeah, I think that you're right. It's coming because there's no going back.
No.
We see it now. We see it for what it was.
Right.
And I guess I would push back a little bit on the language of this. And this is maybe I'm just in the throes of really recognizing the programming and everything that's been laid on us to keep us dumbed down and ineffective and small and afraid
Yep.
and in our little boxes. And I just drove through a neighborhood today and I just thought, these are glorified prison cells. So when you say what we've done, I don't agree with that. I don't think we've done it. I think it's an agenda that was established by the medical system, by the governments around the world, by that Rothschild net to dumb down the incredible abilities of the earth human.
I think the big focus has been money, 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 money. And when that's the majority of the goal, you know, that's the only goal in a lot of cases, that just leaves the human to be fending for himself or herself. And it's not a fair fight because infants, you know, they're pretty powerless. So, but that perception of glorified prison cells, that's wow. Yeah. I saw one thing I did see just recently, and I can't remember what channel I saw it on, Decoding China, something like that. They were talking about the population drop in China, that they don't have 1.4 billion people anymore. They only have like somewhere between 770,000 and 800,000 people. 800 million, sorry, 770 million or 800 million. And they showed this ceremony that the Chinese do at some particular time of the year, which is, it's this time of year. Everybody builds this little fire to, it's in memory of their people who have died. And typically there'd be a few people that have these little fires. This is an ancient tradition. And so you'd see maybe they said a few people on the street corner would have these fires. And it, you know, it'd be all across China. Well, they showed pictures of the little fires this year. It looked like the whole city, the whole country was on fire. I was like, oh my gosh. And it was all, you know, along with that, they said, where did all the people go? Whole villages, whole towns, absolutely empty. Nobody living in them, you know, 300 apartments in a 30-story building, and maybe 3 or 4 of them rented. And they said it's almost spooky. And I thought, is that propaganda? Or are people leaving? Because I had, you know, my experience with Rose was people are going to leave. You're going to lose a lot of people, a lot. And so I'm thinking, oh, wow, is it starting over there in China? And then you hear about all the people that have been killed in Ukraine. It's like, oh, that's an awful way to go. You know, what are we doing to ourselves? Where's our common sense? Where's our enjoyment of life? And so all of that it doesn't happen because of what you brought up, which is that somebody appears to be wanting these bad things to happen or wanting this kind of destruction. And that's true. There is a group of people like that. And they're very psychopathic, and they are dangerous. And so we are the people who have to, keep our antenna up and pay attention and not get caught in those kinds of nets. So we're in a place where we're not quite free of the nets, but the net, their net is getting a lot of holes in it, like I said.
Yeah.
So we can have some, take a breath kind of thing.
There are times that I get frustrated that, we've called them the naughty boys in the past.
Yeah, right.
That the naughty boys keep winning. And then I catch myself and I said, of course they are winning. They set up the game.
Well, they think they're winning. They think they're winning because I think they're reading their own media that they own and control. They're not winning anything.
No,
they're not losing.
Well, okay, and you're right. That's absolutely right. The frustration, I think, on a surface level, for me and maybe for other people, is
a lot of people.
When you say arrests are going to happen, well, I'm thinking, well, how's that going to be good? Because the people doing the arresting are the criminals.
Did I say that I was going to see some arrests?
Oh, I think you used the term, maybe I misunderstood at the beginning, but
I meant arrested development. We have arrested development.
Okay. So I perceive right now, my perception, don't come at me, people, is that my perception is that the whole government system is a criminal enterprise.
Yeah.
And the last thing they want to do is be honest, be fair. It's all about a power going to a certain, a small group of people. And it has snowballed like other things so much just in the last month or two that I'm just gobsmacked at the brazenness with they just disregard any kind of sense of freedom or fairness or the voice of the people. It is out of control greed and selfishness within our governmental system, from my perception.
Yeah.
And what I see is that it's gotten so ridiculous that people we're just not listening anymore. We're just done.
I know. I love that. I love it. I know. That's the not doing. Don't join. And you can't get dumped out because that's too traumatic. You need to ease out one system at a time. You learn how to heal yourself, or you learn how to grow your own food, or you learn how to build your own house off grid, or you start, educating your own children, or I know some people who started their own church. There's all kinds of ways. Then there are political groups that meet that are really, they aren't mincing words when it comes to talking about the government that we have in Washington. They're all about, we're building something else. And they use their coalitions that they're pretty widespread. And they're marrying that to new economic systems and saying we're going our own way, period. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of shaping reality that we really need. And I think we're not going to see reports of that because the bad boys are the ones who control the media.
Yeah.
And so we have to just keep going and going. And I think, just like you said, it's, and that is what I've seen, is that it kind of goes out with a whimper. It doesn't go out with a bang, even though everybody would love to see a bang, Wake up one morning, they're all arrested, they're all in jail, and we're free. And then what? Then chaos. So
Right.
it has to be a little at a time, which
Mhm.
takes patience.
And I think, there was when I think about, okay, I want all these people arrested, whoever my list is, everybody's
Yeah,
list is gonna be different. It doesn't even hold any satisfaction for me anymore. I just
oh,
don't even care.
right.
It's like, and I think that that's where we need to get to,
Yes.
is that we're just no longer even engaging with that whole
Mhm.
drama. And we're just over here planting carrots.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. It's kind of like me saying wash your socks.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
um, I think we're going about our business.
yeah, I think we are. Okay, I want to talk about a couple of things. One of them
Okay.
is sort of a weird topic, but I've thought about it a lot lately just because of what's happening here on Earth. And I know that we are a big focus of
Yeah,
other more advanced civilizations right now.
right.
There's
Oh,
just a lot of attention, which we could be really grateful for because I'm sure it's helping.
it does.
We are in my mind, a huge population.
Yeah.
We're compared to other systems I've heard spoken about, more advanced civilizations, the numbers we have are huge. Is that true? Or are there other civilizations on other planets or in other solar systems that are as large as this one?
Um, well, I haven't been everywhere, but we're bigger than almost everywhere I've been. If you're talking about a mothership, maybe you're talking about 10 or 20,000 people, and that's all the survivors of that particular DNA set. And, and then you go to a planet or somewhere else, and they're very, very developed. But like one place I've been, they're very, very developed and very able to move interstellar, even. But at home, the people on their planet live very simply, almost primitively, so that they're advanced, so that they can be interstellar. Do you get what I mean? They live very simply, and everything they do and all the work they do supports those people who get on those ships and go traveling and discovering what's out there. So that's an example. But then there's a few places I've been that were like probably a good, no, that wouldn't, they're like a desert. They're like everybody's inside the planet. And there might be 40, 50,000 people on that planet. Um, just there's not a whole lot of places that people are really on the outside of the planet to begin with, like we are. And they don't have the numbers that we have. And I think it's really, really important for us to understand that we are kind of like an experiment.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody is playing cheerleader to us. Come on, keep going, keep going, keep going. Wake up, that kind of message. Here's some support. Why? Because they see what our potential is. And the potential is that we develop to become these extraordinary beings that are I'm going to say we are in a much higher state of consciousness and still have a physical body.
Mhm.
And that's
And so
what
then
is so important or so fascinating to them.
and so wouldn't that establish almost a genetic blueprint
Yes.
to populate other worlds with
Yes.
this particular meat suit?
Yeah. Nice choice of words. Yeah, it is. Because most people, when they get into higher consciousness, they just drop the physical. We are learning how to manage the physical. And other people, especially some from higher places, they can present themselves as physical,
Oh,
but a lot of times it's like two things I've observed. Either they can't wait to get back to being just a body of light because the physical is so much heavier, so much denser, and so much more uncomfortable. Oh, my phone is ringing. Hang on a second. Let me cut that off. Or now I forgot what I was going to say. Or those people that that have that advanced consciousness, they can, I'm going to say, impact your consciousness and make you think that they are physical. So they're really not. So the interest is in getting a group, and because we have survived against all odds, and all the attempts to do us in, and those attempts are still going on, the enthusiasm is like, wow, those people are amazing. And so they are really working to try to help us make it to what I'm going to call not only sustainability, but a system that is really based in beauty and truth, and everybody's taken care of, and a whole different kind of development, understanding of human development, and that we're not done just because we turn 18, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
And you know what I recognize in myself, and it's almost, you know, I always hesitate to talk with you because I realize that you just have a different perception because of the Kundalini and that.
Yeah,
I
true.
recognize within myself at times a reluctance to expand beyond this thing because I enjoy the humanness so much.
Oh, I do too.
The eating, the laughing, the hugging, you know, I mean, all the things that this, you know, vessel allows me to participate in.
That's right.
Are, to me, really fun.
They are.
And so I see myself reluctant to like learn to get out of my body or to do other things because I realize it's a special time that I get to inhabit this body.
Right.
And I want to hold on to every single minute of it.
Right. And I think that's part of what the people who are trying to support us are hoping that we will maintain. How many 75-year-olds do you know go ice skating?
None. Do you go ice skating?
Well, I could if I still had skates. Okay. You know, most people decide somewhere along the way, I don't know what they decide, but they decide it's okay to get old.
They decide they're old. I see it. I see that. I see women that decided they're old.
Yeah.
That are younger than me.
I know. And so once you decide to get old, what is that decision really about? It's like, okay, I don't want to take care of anything anymore. I don't want to be responsible for anything. And so everything goes, you know, from top to bottom, everything goes. And then pretty soon they're gone. They're out of here. And then everybody's lined up to come back. It's like, okay. Because of all those things you said, why give up any of that joy? There's no reason to. There's no reason for us to age.
Yeah.
So it's so important to understand that we can become eternal beings. Let me say that and then add some things to it. Okay, to become an eternal being means that you can last, like if the majority of people here on earth at this time are dead by the time they're 75 or 80, then to say that we can become people who live to 200 is going to seem like becoming eternal. Once you make it to 200, it's like, okay, why not 300 or 600? And so it's a slow process of learning how to unfold yourself and maintain yourself at the same time. And so we have this, what do you have to do to be able to live? Let's just say to your natural, the natural lifespan for a human is 10 times your age at puberty. So whatever you were. So for me, that's 120, 125, 130. Okay. So, so when I came in, right from the time I was a little kid, I thought, I'm going to live longer. I'm going to live to be 147. And I don't know why that number or where it came from, but I had that my whole life. And oddly, I've heard several other people say that same number. I'm going to live to 147. I'm like, where'd they get that number? That's my number. So, but the one thing that has to happen to live longer is to stop that whole aging process on purpose. We age on purpose, so stop it. And understand that, eternity begins with attention. You start paying attention to your body. It's been proven over and over again by various scientists that certain cells, you put them in a petri dish, you keep the dish clean, and you feed them, they last forever and ever. What are we doing? Dying at 70, 75, some people at 60. Why are we getting cancers and falling apart? Because nobody's paying attention to the body, or the fact that we're part of a system of life called nature. And that system can be maximized and become something that is totally pleasurable for hundreds and hundreds of years. So why quit? Why stop early?
I heard Greg Braden just last night say that he was going to live to 150 or something.
Oh, did
And
he?
he looks amazing. I think he's in his 70s,
I think he is. He's younger than me, but yeah.
Yeah.
He's enjoying life.
And he's doing good work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've talked about that many times, about how much we enjoy doing what we do. I think it's got to be a lot more fun than what President Trump is doing, to be quite honest, or Jerome Powell, or any of those people.
All right, so you opened up that can of worms. I guess we're going. All right, so to bring it down to a little bit more, I don't want to, gosh, I don't even know how to define it, Penny. What the hell? The person what the hell is going on in Washington? What the hell? I look at it now and I think, what happened?
I think it's pretty simple. It's almost too simple to grasp, okay? So the Rothschilds are in control of the planet. All right, that's the starting point. Israel is their proxy. So France controls Israel, which controls Washington. That's really the power structure. It's just
why France though?
Because that's where the Rothschilds are based.
Okay.
Their financial center is in the city of London, which is a little area within the big city of London. It's a 1 square mile area called the City of London. It's the financial center of the Rothschilds. But then they have another financial center, which is kind of like their decoy. That's in Brussels. And then, they control Israel, and Israel controls, they think they control the U.S. and a lot of other things. I'm not sure what happened, but I was just thinking about this last night because I was tuned in after I got done teaching Getting Well. I was thinking, what's with Trump? How's Trump doing? And once again, and I put this together just last night, back in July or August, maybe, I tuned into Trump, the guy in Washington. And I remember thinking, that doesn't feel like his energy. And I thought, he must be having a bad day. So, you go on about your business, and a few weeks later, maybe a month later, I tune in again what is he thinking? I can't remember what the issue was, but that was the question. What is he thinking? Tune in, and it's like, is that Donald Trump? And I'm thinking something's wrong there. So that happened from like July until last night, and I think, I wonder how, what's happening with Trump. I felt so out of touch. I'm just going to tune in for a minute, and same thing. It's like, that doesn't seem like his energy, except that my consciousness said it differently last night. That doesn't feel like Trump's energy signature. And that caught my attention because I attend to my attention. And so I was chewing on that. And then this morning, two things happened that were just so weird. I felt like I was, in touch with some other kind of energy. It was weird. And it dawned on me that he looks the same, he talks the same, he's trying to walk this fine line, but I don't know if that's really Donald Trump, the real Donald Trump, because the energy signature doesn't feel right. Trump, the other Trump, has a streak of gentleness through his energy signature that this guy is missing. And there's an incredible caring and intelligence, along with an extraordinary competition in the real Donald Trump, that this guy doesn't have. The guy that I'm tuning into and I'm thinking is Donald Trump. So I don't even know if that's the real Donald Trump, the guy that we're all watching and listening to. I'm assuming that Donald Trump has, what do you call that? A clone, or not a clone, a double, has doubles. I don't like the idea of doubles. I think that is lying to the American people, or whoever the double is pretending to be. They're lying to their people. And I don't think that's right. But I do know that they use doubles. It's just like, I haven't tuned into, I haven't been able to pick up the real Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. since summertime. So I don't know what's happening there. If that's not him, we're screwed. Okay. If that's not the real Donald Trump, or something happened, maybe the real Donald Trump died and they didn't want to say that. So they just got somebody else to play him. It's a different energy signature, period. And he's not the same, and he doesn't have that inner something that Donald Trump had that allowed him to meet and not so much confront, but meet and interact wisely with leaders all around the planet. This guy doesn't do that. So I don't know what to say.
There seems to be almost a immature meanness.
I'd say that's an understatement. So
I was trying to be polite.
okay. There's the real Trump has a little bit of the street kid in him, but underneath that is this wonderful, gentle, caring and kindness. And this other guy doesn't have that. And he scares me. He scares me. That's the bottom line. It's like, I don't know who you are or what you're trying to pull off here, my friend, but it doesn't feel good. And that kind of thing usually comes to a bad end.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I do see that if it doesn't get resolved, so after I had that aha about that's not the same energy signature, then I was moving ahead thinking, so are we going to see the real Trump coming up here soon? And so I'm going through to next year, and I don't know. It looks like people in the U.S. are taking up arms in the same way. They're taking up arms, but I'm going to say it like as if the people in England could take up arms. They can't because they don't have any weapons. And people in Australia can't because they don't have any weapons. They foolishly gave away their right to carry weapons. And they'll get thrown in jail in a hot second if they get any weapons out. But people in France, people in England, people in Australia, they have been protesting by the tens of thousands over and over again. And I saw that some of that same stuff in America, but it was not just protests. It was like, watch out, you people that are not being nice. It's not. Doesn't
We're this close. There's some people that are not going to stay polite.
They're not going to stay polite. That's the way of that. Okay. Right.
I have one more topic I want to touch on briefly, Penny, and then I promise to let you go.
Okay.
It's an interesting one.
Okay.
At least to me.
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned that, well, we've talked a number of times that not everyone's going to stay on the planet. A lot of people are going to leave. And I guess I kind of see it as though they might not be here in the physical, but they're almost in the bleachers.
Okay.
They're almost in the bleachers. And then that brings up John Peterson to me, who you said you've connected with since he transitioned.
Yeah. Right.
And what he said to you was, I can do so much more on this side than I could do when I was in physical.
Right.
And that made me start to think, it's like, well, first of all, I'm really glad that he's feeling that way, that he's feeling like I can make a difference, because I know that was important to him when he was here.
Yeah, it was.
What I want to find out from you is, what is it that he can do that will impact what's going on? What type, like for those of us, I hope I get to stay. I don't know if I'm going to get to stay.
Yeah.
None of us really, some of us probably do, most of us don't.
Right.
So even if we don't stay, it doesn't mean we're out of the game or we don't get to continue to participate. So what is it that John can do or other people can do if they're no longer physically incarnated, but are still involved in what's going on here?
Oh, there's a couple things that are really kind of critical. One of the things is it's easier to understand what all your various friends are thinking and feeling at any given moment. Okay? So if one of them is needing an idea or is needing a cheering up message or is needing a message to slow down or pay attention or whatever, you can go there and you can influence them. And you don't have to get in your car or get a plane or get a train or any of that. And so there's this mobility of consciousness that feels so powerful. And then there's, when you leave here and you get outside the box of social, what would I call social conventions, and you begin to see all the ways that those social conventions limited you. Now you're not willing to stay within those social, or you're not really even able to stay within those social conventions. And so you can encourage people that are on the cutting edge or that are feeling rebellious or that are thinking of expanding a little bit. You can encourage them tremendously and nurture them with energy, because one of the things you learn is how to project energy very quickly over there. Another thing, which is not necessarily, this is a little different kind of, I can do so much more aspect. You're not really going to pay attention to the physical realm and what's happening there. You're going to end up saying, I want to be part of a group of like-minded people, and we are not in the physical anymore. Let's say we're at 4D or 5D. And so you help establish that group or the whole group of you goes to some other place where there is an operating community, like the way station, for instance, that's an operating community, or you start something else. There's all kinds of communities. Um, and you hold a space for the humans that are coming over, and you take turns going to greet them and encourage them, come with us. We're your like-minded people kind of thing. And so there's a way of nurturing, and then they all get together and they watch. They watch what's happening here with the idea that they want to nurture the people here to survive and thrive so that they can come back and learn some more, do some more, experience some more. There's a huge line of people that just want to come back for the sensual pleasures, the senses.
Right.
But then there are people who are very committed to evolving humanity, and so they'll come back for that. So they need to support with their whole group, supports the people who are still here, however many there are, to survive and thrive so that they will have someplace to come back to eventually. And right
It's
now,
almost like
it's a long time.
building up the soil.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Good analogy. Yes.
Wow, that is so interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
When I first saw that, I was like, oh, that is so thoughtful of you guys. And they were
Well-
like, well, we can because we can.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, yeah, you can. Other people go elsewhere. They go somewhere, to a whole different system because they want to learn something specific. Like, what did I not know to do while I was on planet Earth? So they go to that system over there, learn what they could have said, could have done, how they could have evolved themselves, and then they come back over here. So, yeah, so there's a lot of activity. No one is ever really lost. The mean ones, the ones that are really evil, they also hang together. So, and they do try to influence people in the wrong way, but
Yeah.
Have
So
to
I-
develop strength.
So I have a daughter that is no longer in physical, and
Oh,
her
yeah, that's right.
name is Grace.
Oh, wow.
And I have, during the last few weeks, I've kind of thought, oh, I haven't heard from you, honey, or I haven't connected. And
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many random businesses I have come across with Grace in the name. I got an email from some company that does something that I don't even know what it is they do, but it's Grace Business or something.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Which just tickles me because,
Yeah.
I just had to say, I'm kind of feeling like we haven't
Yeah.
connected. And she's like, it's humorous to me. It's funny.
I know. I think we're in a time where we're moving into a sort of harmonic with the energies of our world. And I say that, I was just telling this, I was sharing this in the tea this morning. I was thinking about something and thinking about unusual energies. And I'm in front of the sink, in my bathroom, and I'm brushing my hair and my teeth and all that. And all of a sudden, the bar of soap sitting on the edge of the sink starts spinning. And it spun about 5 times and then stopped and spun in the other direction. And I just was looking at that going, oh, wow. Oh, my. And it was such a shock. It was like, what made that happen? Because it was so weird. If it had just gone in one direction, I would have thought I must have bumped it. But when it stopped and went the other direction and I'm still watching it, it's like, oh my. And then I turn around, my nose was running, and I didn't have any Kleenex in the bathroom. So I went to grab a little piece of toilet paper to blow my nose. And there's the toilet seat cover hovering like at a 45-degree angle. It wasn't straight up and it wasn't down. It was just hovering there. And I'm like, what are you doing? You know, so I pushed it back, you know, so it was standing straight up. But
Do
it
you
was,
think someone was just messing with you?
that's possible. That's possible. But it was one of those moments where it's like there's the energies of the world are really very they're much different than what we think. They're much
Yeah.
more willing to move and to give us a thrill than we think they are.
Yeah. And I think it's all, I can feel it and see it, and I just can feel it.
I know.
It's more fun and more magical
Yeah.
than I ever would have dreamed of.
I know. I know. I look around and I see a few Krabby Patties and think, do you know what you're missing?
Yeah.
You know, the world is such an interesting place and it's so responsive to us. Last night I was sitting in my kitchen eating my dinner. It was kind of late. And all of a sudden there was this huge crash in the sink. I have a big commercial 2-bowl sink with big, you know, stainless steel drain boards on either side of it. It's probably about 8-10 feet long, maybe longer. And that there was nothing on the sink and nothing in the sink, but there was this huge crash. And I got up and looked. I thought, you know, somebody dropped something in the sink. Nothing, just this huge crash. It's like, what was that? So that I forgot about that. Actually, you could add that to the soap and the toilet seat. So, yeah, weird things happening. And maybe somebody's trying to get my attention. I should probably find out, you know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't listening. You know,
Yeah.
what do you need? What do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to wrap up with today, Penny?
I think just a wish for a happy Thanksgiving. People, enjoy your people. They're all crazy. And so are you. So just be who you are and enjoy them and stop with all of the shoulds and shouldn'ts and do's and don'ts and just laugh. Laugh at yourself, laugh at them. It's such an amazing place. And it's so full of amazing people. And you're one of them. So, you know, enjoy life. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. And we'll be back next month.
Right.
I'm sure it's going to be.
I didn't look at the date, but, you know, it's usually the first Monday after the look-see.
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah. Okay.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. Yeah. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
You got to hit the button.
Okay. All right.